on this morning for revising. We are in our revising stage. You have had an opportunity to look at revising your openings. You had an opportunity to start looking at show, not tell. Really looking to see what feelings you had and how you could show those feelings and not just say, I felt happy. How would you show it with adjectives and actions? Today we're going to be looking at revising by stretching the BTH. That's that big thing that happened. I had several people this morning again asking me, why is it not BTTH? I don't know. I didn't create it. I agree with you. That seems to make sense. But I didn't make it. So we're going to go with BTH. Big thing that happened. So we're going to be stretching that big thing that happened by slowing down the action. Are we slowing down the nouns? Are we slowing down the adjectives? We're slowing down the action. Those are our verbs. Bit by bit. That means each action by each action. In your quietest whisper, can you tell me what our learning goal is? Ready? 1, 2, and 3.
Stretch the BTH by slowing down the action bit by bit.
Why are we whispering there? To keep you engaged, keep you going with me. Some of you weren't with me and I asked you to whisper and suddenly you were with me. I got you. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this. I'm going to use my writing about my camping trip, that beginning part of my camping trip with the bathroom. Just as a reminder, this was my big thing that happened. This was my BTH when my brother flushed and it wouldn't stop, and it was like a deafening roar in that cinder block building. And he was crying and screaming and it was loud, and I was irritated because I was a teenager and had a bad attitude. Okay, that is my big thing that happened. Okay, just as a friendly reminder. So, when I'm looking at my big thing that happened, in my notebook, I would turn to where that is in my story. So I would find that picture and I would look at the writing I have for the big thing that happened. And I'm looking to slow down the action bit by bit. So as I'm reading, I'm listening for action words. I'm listening for verbs. I'm listening for things that my characters are doing. Okay? I'm going to model that a little bit for you. The first sentence of my BTH, it says, I knocked on the door. When I stop and I think just about that one sentence, I'm not even going to go any further. I'm just going to stop there because I'm doing bit by bit. I'm going to stop and think about the action. Let me read that again. I knocked on the door. What was I doing? I was knocking. So I'm thinking about that word knocked, and I'm imagining that situation, that big thing that happened, because it really happened. And it wasn't just a little, oh dear brother, what are you doing in there? Like, I was super irritated at him for making this fit in that bathroom and possibly bringing attention to us, because I was a teenager and I didn't want that. So it wasn't just a little, are you okay? It was like a pounding on the door. Like, what are you doing in there? You've got to be kidding, Tim. So I need to change that action. That wasn't an accurate action. I wasn't knocking. I was pounding. I pounded. So in my notebook, I'm actually going to just, because it's just one word, I have room, and I'm just going to cross it out, and right above it, I'm going to put pounded. But just like last week, if you don't have room to put that in there, just do an arrow over to your revising side. And I could write it over here. Either way, whatever is going to work for you. Because who are the revisions for? Are they for me or are they for you? They're for you. As long as you know where they're at, I'm cool. Okay? All right. Again, I'm going bit by bit. I've only done one sentence. I'm going to keep going. I opened the door. Okay, I hear another verb. Another thing I'm doing. What am I doing? I'm opening the door. You probably can imagine how I opened that door. Was I just like slowly opening and peeking in? Yeah. It was not a happy opening. If I was being honest, I did have a little concern because he was crying. I was being honest. So I didn't just open it, I
tore it open.
Ooh, I like that. I had something different, but I like that. I tore open the door. Again, I had room right above that sentence where I'm changing my action to slow it down a bit. Okay? If you don't have room, draw an arrow over to the revision side. That's totally fine. Okay? Next sentence. What's going on, Tim? I asked. Now, I hear that I'm asking. Yeah, I asked him something. But that's not a great action to really slow down what I was doing. If you stop and think about it, that toilet was roaring. It was echoing. My brother was screaming. Did I just walk in there and quietly ask, Tim, what are you doing? I had to use, not only because I was irritated and slightly concerned, I also had to use a loud voice so he could hear me, right? So I asked, I'm going to cross off asked. Again, I have room here. If you don't have room, go to this side. I screamed, and I want the reader to really understand, just in case they forgot like what's happening in that room and what type of room it was. I'm going to add some more detail to really make the reader think about what that environment felt like and what that environment sounded like. I screamed over the roaring toilet and my crying brother. Okay? Period. Notice on that example, not only did I change my action word from asked to screamed, I really slowed down to make sure the reader had this great vision of what was happening in that room by adding a little more detail. I screamed over the roaring toilet, so now my readers should have that sound in their mind, and my crying brother. Again, my readers should have that now in their mind. Okay? I'm going to give you a sentence now, and I want to see if you can work to slow down the action bit by bit. We do that by picking a more precise verb, a strong verb, a better describing verb of that action. And we sometimes do that by adding some more detail to really paint the picture of what's happening. Okay? So I want to give you a sentence up on the board for you to attempt this. You must have been using these whiteboard markers hard last week. This is the third one that's not working. You were working hard last week. I could hear the toilet flushing. I already hear people starting to think, what are the verbs, what are the actions? And saw Tim's, that's my brother, Tim's foot pressed down on the pedal. Okay, your job is to try to slow down this action in this sentence bit by bit. There's a few different action words in here. You also could slow that action down bit by bit by maybe adding a little bit more detail to remind my reader of what's really going on in this picture. Are there any important details that help to create an image of the toilet flushing, that sound, and Tim's foot pressed down on the pedal? Are there any other details that could be added to help paint that picture? Go ahead and try it out with someone next to you, knee to knee, eye to eye. Start with the verbs and then see, can I add any other detail to really slow it down? Ready? Go ahead and go.